Today, we are talking about the EASE framework and how to use it. This is a nuts and bolts demonstration of options that you have at your disposal when you think someone you love may be suicidal. So this one is a good one to bookmark for future use. Welcome to the Suicide Prevention Lady podcast, where we make intervention easy. I'm your host, Dr. Ricky Turner, and I am a suicide intervention expert. Please note, I am the thinky kind of doctor. I am not a medical professional. So please do not take anything in this podcast as medical advice. So when I was working on my dissertation and I saw that what I found in my study was going to be applicable for the broader use, I started thinking of, okay, I have all of these different tools and tricks that people can use that make it easier for them to intervene in some way. It doesn't have to be some Herculean, heroic effort. It's, little things that people can do that is in fact an intervention and can in fact save a life. And what came to me, what I finally put together, was an EASE framework, because I want everyone to intervene with ease. I want this to be an easy thing. Now, I understand that anytime you're dealing with suicide in any form, it's going to be a little scary. So it's never going to be quite easy. But what I wanted to develop was just a little bit of a toolkit to be like, okay, I have this specific situation, and I wanted to provide avenues to navigate around it, right? Like there's an obstacle and you can't always go over the obstacle. Sometimes you have to go under the obstacle, or sometimes you have to go around the obstacle. Sometimes you can do all of them, right? That's what the EASE framework is. It's 4 things that no matter what situation you're in, you can do one of the 4. You might not be able to do the same one for every situation you get yourself into. That's fair. But at any given situation, I have not found where you can't use one. So let's get into it. EASE is an acronym, of course, because every program needs a good acronym. The first E is expressing care. I can't tell you how important it is for you to express care to the person that you are concerned about. It can be a loved one, it can be a friend, it can be a student, it can be a colleague, it doesn't matter. Do you value them as a human being? Do you want them alive, well, and thriving? If so, find a way to express care to them. Now, this expression of care can be very direct. It can be not so direct. It can mention suicide. It cannot mention suicide. It doesn't matter. It's whatever situation you are currently in, do what you can in that moment and express care to them in some way. Now, my favorite way to do this and to get people used to this idea, because I grew up in a house, we did not tell each other we loved each other. That was foreign to us. And I would just sooner run my hand on a hot grill than to actually tell my dad or my mom or my sister I love them. But when my dad got remarried, he married a Care Bear, and she loves everybody and will tell everybody and anybody about said love. And so it was kind of uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for my dad too. Like, this was not the type of relationship that we had. But through some repetition, through some practice, it became such second nature that now I can't get off the phone with my dad without telling him I love him. I can't leave without hugging him and telling him I love him. It's so natural to us now. So that's why I like this exercise. So if you are not used to this and telling people that you care about them is kind of uncomfortable, that's okay. I want you to use the magic of a text message. And I say that because we live in an asynchronous society now, right? Like, we want immediate reaction and immediate response to things, but we live in an asynchronous society. So you can, in fact, just send a text message to somebody. They get it at their convenience. They don't see your face. It's not that immediacy, that super awkwardness, and you get to express yourself. So whoever has popped into your head, whoever that may be, send them a text message. Pull them up, send them a text message or an email, whatever it is, and just say, hey, you've been on my mind. Just wanted you to know I really care about you and I'm glad you're in my life. That's simple, right? Super awkward if you've never done it before, but if you get this practice in now, it's golden. So you can use me if you want to. I tell people this all the time when I'm doing keynotes and trainings. Use me. Make me the bad guy here. Say, listen to this crazy lady's podcast, and she said we need to text somebody that we love, and I picked you. Don't make it weird. That's fine. That is expressing care. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And so that's why I start with the asynchronous. I don't have to see your face as I tell you this, all that. Now, go with your comfort level. That's not true. Go with just a little bit uncomfortable. Whatever your threshold is, find your threshold of this is comfortable for me and go just a little bit further. Okay. That could mean you, instead of saying crazy lady says that I need to reach out to somebody I love, maybe instead if that's super comfortable for you, instead you just say, hey, you've been on my mind, wanted to make sure everything's going well. Love you. Great. Maybe you can take it a step further and you can truly picture, okay, put yourself in tomorrow's shoes and you've lost this person. You just got the news you lost this person to suicide. What do you wish you would have told them? And tell them that and come from the heart. Because in a society that we live in, we're very judgmental if you're thinking about suicide. And then all of a sudden we are filled with grief, remorse, and everything when we lose you to suicide. So say what you wish you would have said, what they wish you would have known. These are all ways that you can express care. Now, you can express care in a way that is directly related to suicide. You can say, and I encourage it if you're brave enough, listen, something's not the same with you. I've been worried about you for a while, and I just want you to know that no matter what you're going through, I'm here. I'm willing to listen. You'll get no judgment from me. I just want to make sure that you're okay and you have that support system. What a powerful way to express care to somebody. Now, you may or may not know if they're suicidal. This could be just I got a weird feeling something's going on here. I don't really know what's going on. They're probably not suicidal. Then don't mention suicide. That's okay. But the more love we put out into the world, the better it is for everybody. So don't be afraid to express care to somebody, because that is one of the most powerful ways that we can, in fact, show up and prevent suicide. So that's the first E. Now we come to A, and that is ask them directly. Ask them, hey, are you considering suicide? I'm afraid for you. I'm afraid of losing you. And it seems like you might be. Okay, there's a lot of myths that comes with this. A lot of people are like, "Ooh, I don't want to say it. That might make them think that they should." Or, what if they weren't thinking about it? Now I've given them the idea. You know what I know exists in the world? Barium enemas. I know that they're out there. Doesn't mean I'm considering them. You could then say, "But I have this barium enema for you." I'm still going to be like, "I'm not really in the mood for that. Thanks." We're not giving them the idea. Okay. We all know suicide exists. We all know the means that are available to us in order to accomplish that should we want to. The reason we don't is because we don't want to. You talking about it, you talking about a barium enema is no more going to make me want to go out and get one than you talking about suicide, because I'm not suicidal. So bring it up, because it's one of the most powerful ways that we can express care to somebody. Because if you're willing to have a conversation about suicide and say directly to somebody, hey, I'm worried you might try to hurt yourself, that's wonderful. That is a wonderful way to express care to somebody, because it's putting their needs above your own. And everybody who enters into this conversation knows no one is going up to somebody and be like, you know what I haven't done today? I haven't asked somebody if they're suicidal. Hey, you're next. That's not how this goes. We are concerned about somebody, therefore we bring it up. Okay. Now, with this comes a lot of caveats, right? We are not going to make a promise to somebody that we cannot keep. That means if they say, do you promise not to tell anybody? If I tell you, you can't tell anybody. We're not making that promise, because we may have to tell somebody. We don't know what we're getting into here. And the last thing we want to do is to make a promise we can't keep. Because the biggest predictor of suicide attempts is previous suicide attempts, meaning if they have attempted or if they are going to attempt. And you tell somebody, you promise them you wouldn't, but you find out and you have to because you've got to get them some sort of help. The likelihood that they are going to tell you the next time is pretty small. It's not impossible, but it's pretty small. We don't want to make promises we can't keep. Now, I heard this from a college student in College Station, Texas. And I'm so mad I didn't come up with it myself. But his answer was brilliant. And I wish I could even credit who said this, but it's so beautiful. I keep telling it. He said, I wouldn't make that promise to them, but I would promise them, hey, I promise you that I love you and I love you more than you love yourself right now. I care about you and I want you safe. And if that means I have to tell somebody that this is what's going on to get you the help and keep you alive, then that's what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm not going to have you fight this battle on your own. I'll fight it with you. I'm not going to leave your side. I'm going to be here for you, and we're going to get through this together. That I can promise you. What a beautiful promise to somebody. It gives me the chills just thinking about it because it's such a beautiful way to put, hey, a lot of things I can promise, but that's not one of them because I love you too much to make that promise. It's so wonderful. Now, if they say yes, if you ask them, hey, are you thinking about suicide? And they say, yeah, I am. I've been thinking about it. We don't want to take this moment to overreact. We don't want to love bomb them. We don't want to suddenly point out everything going well in their life or compare how other people have it worse. Stop that. Don't. What you want to do is take a deep breath. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I know that must have been hard. Can you tell me if you have a plan? Do you have a plan? Yes or no? They may. They may already have a plan. They may not. It may just be, hey, we're just thinking about it right now. We're going over our options. Okay? But their answer to that question navigates a little further for you. Because if they say, yes, I do have a plan, then you need to know what that plan is. Okay? We're going to want to reduce harm and access. We don't want if their plan is X, we need to make a plan that they don't have X. They don't have access to that. We don't want them to have access to the means that they have determined is in their plan. We want to develop a safety plan. If they have a plan and a plan is, I know when, I know what, I know where, I have everything lined up. If they have a plan, we need some help. Because in all likelihood, this is out of your hands at this point. You can still be there with them. You can still help them through the process. But taking it on yourself to help try to prevent their suicide, only you and no help from a medical professional or a mental health professional or something like that, you don't want that weight on your shoulders, okay? So that's what I'm saying. We've got to get somebody else, all right? So that's asking them directly, hey, are you thinking of hurting yourself? So we've expressed care. We've asked the question directly. You can do either one of these things or both. The next one is S, show up. Show up for them. One of my pet peeves is when people say, I'm here for you if you need anything. I'm here for you. Where might that be? Where is here? Because that puts the onus of responsibility on me to go find you if I need help, to go find you if I need support. And if you've ever been in a dark mental capacity, you know that's darn near impossible. It's hard. People do it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's hard. It's extremely hard to do. So instead, I want you to find a way to show up for them. Okay? Got a couple of situations that just happened to me like in this last week. Last week, I had a bad mental health week. I was not suicidal, but I was not in a good place. I had people check on me and just say, hey, just wanted to check in. No, you weren't in a great place earlier. Beautiful. That's expressing care. But I had 2 different instances where it was like, y'all are chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. So wonderful. Number 1, my husband saw that I was in a bad state. I was overwhelmed with things that were going on in the house. I was not in a good mental place. And instead of doing what he needed to do to better his situation, he needed to go to work. He needed to get caught up on some things, whatnot. But I was so overwhelmed, and he was like, I need to show up for her right now. And so instead, he went and did something helpful for me, and he came home and he handled things at home, and he just put off what his needs were for that night. And that meant the world to me because I needed that support. Now, he could have said, okay, I'm here for you if you need anything, and gone on about his merry way and waited on me to say I needed that. I wouldn't have done it. I would have never told him what I needed in that moment. It's not where I was. I wasn't in a good place mentally to do that. And it kind of took it away, right? Like if I would have said, hey, I really need you to stay home. Nice that he did that, but that was my idea, but it was his, and he did that for me. And so it made it mean so much more. Another from just this last week. Again, had a bad mental health week, and I am open with that in my close circle. And I had told my best friend, not doing so hot here. In a bad place, somebody's gonna die. And what I meant by that was somebody else, because I was an angry little elf, right? So I had a free night on Friday night, and I was already doing some things to try to help myself and get in a good headspace. But she was like, hey, what if we smashed pumpkins? And I was like, say less. There's nothing about that sounds awful to me. I want to do that. Yes, please. And she was like, okay, I'll be over at your house, and I'm bringing pumpkins. And she brought $20 worth of pumpkins, which I wouldn't think would be very much, but it was. It was so many pumpkins. And we got these T-ball bats that my son found in a dumpster, and we hit and smashed pumpkins in the front yard. And it was so cathartic. It was wonderful. I got so into it. I was sore the next day. My legs were sore from hitting pumpkins with a bat. Riddle me that, Batman. But it was amazing. And that was a way that she showed up for me. She saw I was hurting and was like, I'm going to do the thinking for her. I'm going to pitch this idea, and then I'm going to make it happen. And it worked, and it was wonderful. Showing up for somebody can be, hey, I'm going to stop and get dinner and bring you some dinner by. Would you like tacos or would you like fried chicken? Don't put, not a what would you like, right? Because if you say what would you like and you put that on them, it's decision overload. We're not in a great place anyway, but if you can minimize that decision fatigue and just, I'm going to be over, which one do you want? Helping them with something, calling them and saying, hey, I've got 15 minutes and I want you to use this 15 minutes. There's no judgment. There's nothing off limits. Say whatever you need to say and get it off your chest, because I'm here to listen. That's a way of showing up for somebody. Getting them on a FaceTime if they're a distance. Get them on a FaceTime or a Zoom and see them and lay eyes on them and play games with them or distract them from something, whatever. But what it means is showing up in person if at all possible, to let them know they matter to you and help share some of that burden. That's what showing up is. The last E is entrust someone else and listen. There's no shame in just letting somebody else do this for you. No shame in that whatsoever. Sometimes we're too close to the situation. Sometimes we're not the best person to handle it. Sometimes we have no idea what to do. It's okay. Sometimes our own personality, we see something, we know something's not right, but we're just not sure exactly what it is that we should do. That's fine. It's fine. Find somebody else and entrust them. Do they have a parent? Do they have a teacher? Do they have a counselor? Do they have a pastor? Do they have a doctor? Can you call? 988, the suicide hotline number, and talk to them and get some advice. I don't recommend this often. It is a last resort, but if somebody is emergent, they are going to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. It is imminent and you don't know what to do, call 911. Okay? That's hard for me to recommend because it can be so traumatic. But if we have no other options on the table, we got to get somebody else involved. So if you're on a campus, you have a counseling center, you have a dean of students. If you're in housing, you have your RA or your hall director. If you're in a high school, you've got guidance counselors, you've got principals, you've got teachers you can go to. It doesn't matter, okay? There's somebody that you can tag in. Even if it's just I think I need to let their best friend know. I've seen this, and I don't know if anybody else has seen it. So I'm going to consult with somebody close to them first. That's fine. Getting somebody else's help is still a powerful way to intervene with suicide. So to recap, this is your framework. This is what you can write it down. You can put it up somewhere. You can save it somewhere. But if you come across something and you're just like, I don't know. I don't know if they're okay or not. Pull one of these out, okay? You can either express care, you can show up for them, I got these out of order, you can ask them directly, or you can entrust somebody else, or you can do any mixture of the four. There have been times I've done all four. But you don't have to do all four, and you don't have to do them in a certain order. So do me a favor and smash that like and subscribe button and share this on your socials. Too many people feel powerless when they're faced with suicide. So we want to get this message out to as many people as possible. And like it or not, the way to do that is to please the algorithm gods. They like interaction with this. If you're on Spotify, answer the poll. Whatever you can do, leave a comment, but interact with this episode and share it because it gets us in front of more people, and that's where the magic happens. We want this message to get out to as many people as possible so that we can reduce suicide and keep it from happening altogether. This week, I want to challenge you to use one of the tools in the EASE framework. Express care, ask them directly, show up, or entrust somebody else. When you do this, think about how did it go? How did it feel? And then any of my socials, I am at Still You Rise Inc. Get on TikTok or Instagram and let me know how it happened. What happened? How did it go? How did you feel about it? I want to hear how this is happening in the world. Next week, I interviewed Jacqueline Sharp. She's the area director for the Arkansas chapter of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Mouthful. AFSP. It's one of the premier suicide prevention organizations in the U.S. We talk about her postpartum depression. We talk about how it's like to get involved and the importance of these awareness events. So you definitely don't want to miss it. So check out next week's episode so we can continue to learn how to intervene with ease.